Under the bright desert lights of Las Vegas, the arena hummed with the restless energy of two nations watching from afar, Venezuela and Japan, both sending their hopes into this ring. Before the bell ever rings, there is a special electricity that only a fight like this creates. The crowd murmurs, the air trembles, and beneath the glow of the spotlights, the squared circle looks less like a ring and more like a stage waiting for a story to erupt. The fans know the stakes. A lightweight world title eliminator, a collision between styles, cultures, and heart. First through the curtains comes the proud warrior of Japan, Nihito Arakawa, the Japanese and Oriental Pacific lightweight champion, a fighter known not for knockout power, but for unbreakable will, an engine that never shuts off, and a toughness forged through 1,000 rounds of relentless sparring. He bows respectfully to the audience, then marches toward the ring like a soldier approaching battle. A moment later, the sound shifts, cheers sharpen, cameras flash brighter, as El Niño de Oro, the golden boy of Venezuela, steps into the spotlight. Jorge Linares, smooth, elegant, dangerous, a two-time world champion whose hands move like lightning and whose technique remains among the purest the sport has ever seen. He carries with him the confidence of a man who has battled his way through divisions, through damage, through doubt, rebuilding himself each time with sharper skills and deeper hunger. The ring announcer lifts his microphone, calling their names with mounting intensity, while the referee gathers them at center ring. Protect yourselves at all times. Obey my commands at all times. Gentlemen, let's do this. As they step back to their corners, the arena falls into that sacred silence, seconds before chaos begins, when every fan holds their breath, knowing that the next 10 rounds may reveal beauty, brutality, or both at once. The bell rings. Immediately, Linares steps into his rhythm, sharp, fluid, poised. In the green and white trunks, he glides backward, tapping out jabs like tuning forks, lining up the geometry of the fight. Arakawa, more square, more determined, steps forward without hesitation, as if the bell itself commanded him to advance. Linares snaps a clean right hand over the top. Crispy, perfect, a punch that echoes through the first minute and signals what kind of precision the Japanese fighter will be dealing with. But Arakawa isn't here to admire technique. He charges, shoulders rolling, chin tucked, trying to compress the ring, trying to make Linares feel trapped. The commentary at ringside reminds everyone, Arakawa can take punishment. He proved that in his brutal war with Omar Figueroa. He can be hurt, but he does not disappear. Still, Linares is different. His combinations come in sudden bursts, right hand, left uppercut, pivot, exit. He slices into openings with surgeon-like accuracy. Each time Arakawa tries to plant his feet, Linares catches him coming in with a stiff shot. Yet Arakawa never stops. He keeps digging to the body, keeps throwing short hooks, keeps stepping through the fire. The narrative begins to form. Linares the artist, Arakawa the engine. One paints, the other pressures. The crowd feels the contrast and loves it. You can sense they're waiting to see whether Linares is bleeding out or not. Brilliance will overwhelm Arakawa, or whether Arakawa's persistence will eventually drag Linares into a dogfight. By the end of the second round, Linares is already showing the full catalog. Body shots, uppercuts, check hooks. Arakawa has absorbed them, tested them, and still marches forward. It's a fight only 2 rounds old, but the story is already rich. One man landing the cleaner work, the other refusing to let that define his fate. Rounds 3 and 4 become a steady in tension. Arakawa's pressure tightening like a vice, while Linares' offense grows sharper, faster, almost elegant in its brutality. Every time Linares fires a straight right through the guard, the crowd reacts with a wave of approval. Then he adds left uppercuts, the punch that starts to define the early middle rounds. He throws it from different angles, tight inside, long range, popping Arakawa's head upward like a lever being pulled. Arakawa eats it, absorbs it, and keeps coming. There is something uniquely unsettling about watching a man take such clean punches and refuse to retreat. It begins to test Linares mentally. He knows his kryptonite has always been his chin, his ability to take damage late in fights. So the mission is clear: dominate without letting the pressure break the rhythm. Arakawa surprises him in spots, swarming forward with looping hooks that pound on Linares' ribs. He works like a craftsman. Punch, step, punch, lean, punch again. The pressure isn't dramatic, but it's incessant. And, slowly, you can see Linares beginning to feel it. Yet even as he's back toward the ropes, Linares fires combinations that snap Arakawa's head back. 3 punch flurries, 4 punch sequences, silky pivots to escape. The Venezuelan's offense is a thing of beauty, a reminder of why trainers call him one of the most technically gifted fighters of his era. But Arakawa has no interest in beauty. His mission is survival, disruption, and ultimately, chaos. The more Linares lands, the more determined Arakawa becomes. He wants to drag the Golden Boy into late rounds where fatigue, doubt, and vulnerability linger. As the 4th round ends, Linares has clearly won every frame, but the fight feels dangerously alive. This isn't domination. It's a battle that could twist at any moment. By the time rounds 5 and 6 arrive, the fight has settled into its identity. Arakawa the Storm, Linares the Lightning. The Venezuelan is landing at will, crisp jabs, slicing right hands, and now those long-range uppercuts that carry his entire body's torque. You can hear the thud each time they land, and yet Arakawa walks through them with a stubbornness that borders on legendary. But beneath that courage lies a strategic truth. He's not just absorbing, he's attempting to exhaust Linares. He wants Linares to fall in love with combinations, stay in the pocket too long, and eventually crumble. Linares' corner reminds him, box in the center, don't let him push you back. And Linares responds beautifully, digging to the body with renewed purpose. Right hand to the ribs, left hook upstairs, then a flurry, then movement. It is textbook Linares, the version his fans wish they could bottle. Still, Arakawa has moments. Short hooks landing on the inside. Heavy body shots that make Linares' feet freeze for just a beat longer than before. The Japanese warrior keeps tightening the walls, keeps squeezing the ring smaller. There are flashes where Arakawa lands a big hook that forces Linares to reset. But Linares always reclaims control with sharp counters that remind everyone who the superior technician is. The CompuBox numbers begin to show a staggering disparity. Linares doubling Arakawa's body connects, nearly tripling the clean power punches. Yet the threat remains. Linares' history has taught fans to never count out disaster, and as they move into the second half of the fight, the story feels like a test of balance. Can Linares sustain this brilliance, or will Arakawa's pressure eventually crack him open? In rounds 7 and 8, the fight transforms from beautiful boxing to something far grittier. Arakawa refuses to let Linares dance freely anymore. He cuts the distance faster, swings more recklessly, and begins forcing exchanges in tight quarters. The arena feels the temperature rise. Linares, still landing the cleaner, more skillful work, begins to fire heavier combinations, 5, 6 punches at a time, just to carve out breathing space. But even these don't deter Arakawa. In fact, they seem to embolden him. For every crisp Linares flurry, Arakawa responds with a hook to the body, a clubbing shot upstairs, or a wild uppercut thrown more from heart than technique. The Japanese fighter is now pushing Linares toward places he rarely wants to be. Inside trenches where will matters more than skill. Coaches at ringside comment that Linares sometimes stays in the pocket too long, admiring his work. And here, that flaw begins to show. Arakawa lands short left uppercuts, sneaking punches through Linares' guard, making the Venezuelan blink and reset. But Linares still commands the fight with accuracy, pinpoint counters, left uppercuts that lift Arakawa's chin, and body shots that echo like thunder. Yet, the more Linares lands, the more the war intensifies. It is no longer a display of elegance. It is a collision of two fighters refusing to yield ground. The crowd senses the brutality growing, the stakes rising, the emotional narratives deepening. Linares' face begins showing signs of the battle: redness, swelling, the physical tax that Arakawa's pressure inevitably demands. But still, Linares wins the rounds. Still, he outlands. Still, he controls. But Arakawa is no longer simply surviving. He is pushing, leaning, working, breaking rhythms, and forcing Linares into the deep water where questions always linger. Then comes the moment that shifts everything. A clash of heads in the 8th round, unintentional, abrupt, and devastating. A nasty gash opens above Linares' right eye. Blood pours, threatening his vision, threatening control, threatening the entire fight. The referee didn't see the clash clearly. Ringside officials scramble. The commentators erupt with concern. Suddenly, the fight takes on a new tension, because now Linares isn't just fighting Arakawa. He's fighting time, gravity, and blood itself. Arakawa sees red, literally, and charges forward with even more urgency. He digs to the body with violent intent, hoping to force Linares into mistakes. Meanwhile, Linares rallies behind lightning-fast combinations, determined not to let the narrative slip from his hands. Despite the cut, he lands sharp right hands, left uppercuts, and breaks of momentum that keep him ahead. Yet Arakawa smells opportunity. He leans into exchanges, making the inside war even messier. The referee pauses the action. Doctors inspect the wound. The crowd holds its breath. For a moment, the possibility of a stoppage looms, one that could send the fight to the scorecards. But Linares insists he can continue. And when the action resumes, he fights with urgency, precision sharpened by danger. Arakawa keeps applying relentless pressure, throwing short hooks and uppercuts from tight angles. But Linares refuses to fold. His movements are controlled, determined. This is a fighter, aware that one mistake could give away an entire night's work. The 8th ends with both men trading in a violent blur, the cut dripping, but Linares' resolve burning bright. The drama now intensifies. Will the cut survive? Will Arakawa's pressure finally break the Venezuelan? Or will Linares elevate himself one more time? Round 9 begins with urgency flowing from both corners. Arakawa surges forward with renewed fury, knowing he's behind on the scorecards and needing something dramatic. Linares, still showing the marks of battle, circles, pivots, and fires crisp counters, his right hand especially finding a home between Arakawa's gloves. Both fighters understand the stakes now. The cut could worsen. Arakawa could break through. The momentum could flip. But where many fighters crumble under such pressure, Linares seems to rise with defiant brilliance. He digs to the body with heavy shots, right hand, left hook, right uppercut, then pivots off the ropes before Arakawa can smother him. The Japanese fighter keeps pressing, like a machine built to absorb punishment and return fire. He lands a few big hooks, forcing Linares to clinch, a rare sign of the Venezuelan needing just a breath of space. Still, Linares answers with high-level combinations, the kind that separate champions from contenders. Uppercut, hook, cross, pivot. He even fires mid-exchange with a smoothness that seems almost unfair. Yet, Arakawa's will refuses to bend. He continues suffocating the space, landing to the body, forcing Linares into moments of danger. It's no longer a technical boxing match. It's a test of identity, skill versus persistence. This wasn't a fight defined by knockdowns or sudden endings. It was defined by identity. Linares proved once more why trainers across the world speak of his technique with reverence. Arakawa proved why fans cherish warriors who fight not for perfection, but for pride. The ring announcer steps in, scorecards in hand. After 10 rounds of action, We have a unanimous decision. The crowd roars even before the name is called. All three judges in favor of the winner. El Niño de Oro, Jorge Linares, the Venezuelan, lifts his gloves, slight smile beneath the cut above his eye. He has earned more than victory. He has earned respect. Arakawa bows, then embraces Linares, a moment where two cultures, two spirits, meet in mutual admiration. The commentary team reflects on Linares' brilliance, but also on his vulnerability, his cut, his history. They acknowledge how Arakawa forced him into war, how the Japanese fighter's pressure made this fight unforgettable.